What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading, back at it again with another crypto market update. Today we've got Dydx, Woo, and Chintai. These three cryptos have been pumping the most over the last 24 hours, and I bet you all want to know, are they going to keep pumping? Why are they pumping? Are they going to crash? Are they going to keep rallying? If this is the kind of content you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. We're going to be reviewing the top three cryptos that have been pumping the most over the last 24 hours from Monday through Thursday, trying to get these videos out as quickly as possible so that you guys have information that's still relevant by the time you're checking the charts yourselves. That being said, guys, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. What you see here is just my personal analysis of these cryptos. You might have a different opinion, and if you do, that's awesome. The more opinions we have, the better traders and investors are going to become, as I love to say. So with all that being said, guys, again, first crypto we have here is Dydx, and of course, first we have to ask ourselves, why is Dydx pumping? The answer is pretty straightforward. They recently basically launched some new markets, especially related to Trump meme coins, and so basically, guys, Dydx is a decentralized exchange, and they've listed some new markets here, and of course, people are super active. Especially Sadis is one that's this is a crypto on Sui, I believe, that's been super popular, and Dydx just added Sadis markets, and of course, all this hype around a potential Trump victory keyword. Is of course driving lots of trading activity on Dydx, it seems. So with that in mind, guys, we can turn back here, take a closer look at the chart, and say, okay, so this is the catalyst that's like causing Dydx to pump, is all this trading volume, especially around all these altcoins around Trump and etc. As you guys know, I personally believe that we're going to see altcoins continuing to move higher, and so long as that's true, then obviously this is going to be bullish for exchange tokens such as Dydx. And you'll notice actually the other Woo also seems to be pumping because of altcoin price action, but we'll get to that in a second. Here we have Dydx, and to be honest, guys, the chart here is looking pretty good. The risk-reward ratio is a pretty solid 4, so basically like a 4-to-1 with a 33% of the upside. And potentially to the upside if this resistance is surpassed, and just like maybe 8 or 10% down to the downside, the support level that I drew out here around 1.2. If you're going long or short or what have you. Just do keep that in mind. If like, again, this is the type of chart, as I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, guys, is like, of course we were covering a lot of meme coins at the beginning, but now we're finally starting to see actual altcoins perform here. And you can see that these altcoins, like the risk reward ratio is looking way better. The charts are looking way better. And again, guys, the way we got this 1.7 target, of course, using our handy target math, starting point of around 90 cents, resistance around $1.3, and the target there is around 1.7, which to be honest doesn't seem super obvious. Again, guys, the way you can check these targets when you're calculating them yourselves for the cryptos that you like is you can kind of go back in time and say, okay, does this make sense? In this case, we have to zoom out quite a bit to actually see that, oh yeah, I can see here that, this 1.7 level was super choppy around that range, specifically between 1.7 and 1.8. So it's logical that we're going to see some resistance around that 1.7 level. And some would say that's a little bit of a conservative estimate, but of course, guys, I'm always trying to be conservative in my targets here. But yeah, this is looking like a super nice trade, and and if there's nothing better, then I'd probably be looking to go long this. And of course, you guys, you might have noticed we're on Bybit here. The Coin Bureau happens to have a very juicy deal for Bybit here, up to $60,000 in rewards and 0% maker fees. As I've said before, as I'll say again, these deals that we have in the description will really help you out, even if you're not a whale. If you're just trading frequently, like it's going to save you that like $1, $10, $100, especially if you're trading frequently, even just a few $100s, a few $1,000s. Those fees do add up. I know this from experience, from using all these different exchanges. Some of the fees on these exchanges, honestly, guys, can be super brutal. Like you do a swap of like a few $100s, and you're like, what? I lost $5, but when you have this deal, it'll basically take the edge off of that and potentially bring it all the way back down to zero in terms of fees in the case of Bybit. So do check that out. The link will be down in the description. So moving on, guys. Now we have Woo, and Woo is an interesting one because I was thinking, why exactly is Woo pumping? And then I realized, well, of course, it's also, just like another crypto exchange, or at least that's one of the many things that they offer as an exchange. And of course, it's not surprising then in the slightest that, with altcoins starting to wake up, that Woo, the exchange token, is also doing well. Same like Dydx, same reason. So here, I actually don't know if this is what I was doing when I was practicing, or if we already did a video about Woo. To be honest, guys, there's so many things going on. It's hard to keep track of everything. But basically, I actually found that I had some charts that I already drawn out before, and it looks like we're basically in the process of seeing that play out. So here we have a starting point of around 15 cents, resistance of around 20 cents, and that gives us a target, of course, around 25 cents because the difference there is 5 cents. And I think that Woo is headed for this 25-cent target. But if we zoom out, guys, you'll be able to see there is similarly to Dydx, actually, there's quite a bit of resistance, but in Wu's case, it's even more exacerbated. You can see, wow, there's been a lot of chop, like over the last couple of years around this range. So I think it's gonna be really hard for Wu to kind of grind out of this zone here, and that's why I have a pretty, in terms of a risk reward ratio, just like looking at like a 2, potentially 20% to the upside, 10% to the downside, like not too shabby, but of course not as good as something as like Dydx. But still, nonetheless, like a pretty decent trade, especially relative to all these meme coins. But yeah, long story short, guys, Wu looks like it's grinding up to this target of 25 cents, which I had set. Again, I'm not sure when, if it was in practice or when I actually did a video. There's so much stuff going on, guys. You have no idea. The Coin Bureau has been growing a lot, and we have a lot of exciting things coming up. I'll get to that a little bit later in the video. But anyways, guys, yeah, so WuX looking pretty good. And again, just don't expect, just like a huge spike up. It's going to be quite a bit of a grind, especially around these levels. Once Wu gets higher, then maybe we can start looking at, something that looks more like a parabolic recovery, but we're nowhere near that yet, guys. So we have to take everything one step at a time. So this brings us to Chintai, which is super interesting. Because of course, the name of the token, I guess I'll start by saying that this crypto is not really traded on too many centralized exchanges. And based on the Twitter profile here, it's a layer 1 blockchain for real world assets. And as you guys know, RWAs have been a really hot topic. But the thing that really caught my eye about Chintex is because, I was going through and saying, okay, why is Chintex pumping? And I couldn't really find anything specific. Like the last tweet is from like 3 days ago. And of course, guys, the way that I like to check, what is the catalyst for crypto to pump, is I like to go and check their Twitter/X and see, is there anything that's been announced? In this case, like it's possible, guys, that maybe there's some announcement that's coming up, and maybe there's insiders that are trying to front run that. But I do think that in this case, and this is where the importance of checking the markets tab in CoinMarketCap, and you to see where all the volume is coming from. We can see that a lot of the volume is actually coming from Ethereum, which is super fascinating, actually, especially because you can see that Chex also trades a lot on Solana, but it looks like a decent amount of the volume is coming from Ethereum. Regardless, guys, it's coming from a DEX. And especially when we're seeing, Solana's ecosystem is pumping now. Ethereum's ecosystem seems to be waking up. You take a combination of those two factors, and the fact that Chex trades primarily on Ethereum and Solana makes perfect sense that this token is basically, like riding that wave of like this pump off Solana and Ethereum. And you always have to keep that in mind. Like when you see an altcoin pumping, you're like, wow. Like just keep in mind, like, is it trading mainly against Ethereum and Solana? And is Ethereum or Solana, like, are they also pumping? If they are, then that typically explains most of the move, because and this is where it gets a little bit hard to wrap your head around, guys, that most of these altcoins that trade primarily on DEXs, they don't trade against fiat, they trade against the altcoin, right? They trade against ETH or Sol. So if the price of Sol goes up, then the price of that altcoin will also go up, even though the price hasn't actually gone up. It's just like the denominator, the value of the thing that it's like being valued against has gone up. I know it's a little bit hard to wrap your head around, but basically what I'm trying to say, guys, is that this pump seems to be due to this, a pump happening basically in Solana and now starting also in Ethereum. Anyways, guys, so here we have, and by the way, this is on DEX tools. This isn't on a centralized exchange. And as you can see, we have a starting point, roughly, in my opinion, of around 16 cents. Resistance of around 25 cents, and of course the difference there is around 9 cents, and that would give Chex a target of 34 cents. And if we zoom out here, we can see it's actually consistent with this top back in the spring, and it's actually quite remarkable to see Chex is one of these few cryptos, let's say, that seems to be approaching these spring highs. Of course, Sui is another one that comes to mind, but in my opinion, guys, we're going to see a lot of these altcoins surpassing their spring highs in the next couple of weeks. I know it sounds crazy, especially when I've been telling it to our members in the Coin Bureau Club, which I'll get to in a second. But I truly believe, guys, that we're going to see a very, very big altcoin season. And it depends on a series of factors like the election and all this stuff. But just looking at the charts and looking at the historical patterns, I think that we're going to see an enormous altcoin season over the next couple of weeks. And I think everyone's just so conditioned to for every pump to crash. That I think we're going to see, one of these scenarios where it just keeps melting up and people just don't know what to do. That's almost like the most painful scenario. And sorry, guys, before I forget, I should probably also mention here the upside return for Chex looks pretty good, around 35% potentially. But just do keep in mind that there doesn't seem to be too much support on the way down. I mean, there is some here, a little bit of cushion, let's say, on the way down that could potentially help. But I think that if there was to be a correction, especially given how aggressive this move has been, the correction back down would be quite sizable, around 21% by my estimation. So if you are planning on trading this, or even just trying to get that that 30% move, that 35% move, then just do keep in mind that the downside risk is quite high. Maybe we'll see a little bit of rejection from this resistance level before it keeps grinding higher. But again, RWA that narrative combined with Solana Ethereum relationship, I think it's possible that that Chex is going to keep pumping here. And of course, guys, if you are interested in like these cryptos like Chex, actual altcoins, like smaller altcoins that have a lot of potential, this is exactly the type of content we have on the Coin Bureau Club. We do weekly reviews of promising small caps that are voted on by our members. We showcase our personal crypto portfolios as well as the cryptos that we're watching. Every single day, I'm doing technical analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple other altcoins, depending on like what's pumping. And I also do take requests in the members Discord. We have lots of discussions there, and sometimes people will ask, like, Dan, can you do some quick TA on this crypto? And if I have the time, then I'll certainly do that. And yeah, guys, and this is all the stuff you can get on the Coin Bureau Club, and we have a few thousand members there, and people are loving it. And I do think that this is going to be the place that you need to be for the upcoming bull market if you want to find those those promising small caps early. And I want to say that we found a few. And of course, I've had some pretty good calls there, especially when it comes to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana more recently, and Sui since the summer. But anyways, guys, yeah, you can find the links to all that down in the description. If you did enjoy today's video, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.